button so you're aware that this session is being recorded. And if this all goes according to plan here, I'll get my screen shared. So is everybody seeing my family tree maker screen? Janelle, is that a yes? Oh, I
Not
gotta hit
yet.
share. There.
There, now we can see it.
Okay, the things I'm going to be going through, I'm going to start with the general options. I don't believe that there's a lot there, but they're options, so we will hit that. Going to talk about data fields and modifying the people view, and at that point in time, I'll take a break and take any questions, and then we'll pick back up and cover tasks, reports, and the calendar, and then we'll take any questions and go any place people want. So to start out with, you can look at options under tools. Generally, I think that they're probably set the way most people would want them, but if you're not aware of them, these are some things that you can do. Automatically check for program updates, show the LDS information. I'm not of that faith, so I don't show that here. Use large icons. I have done a little playing around with that. I just click it and the icons get a lot bigger. But of course, the cost of that is you lose, how much screen space you have, how much you see on a screen. So you might want to do some playing with that. Fast fields, just, that they automatically fill in which you want coming up as a default. Automatically back up your family file, which you should be doing. Whether or not you want to show the sync weather status for Ancestry if you're doing that. Whether you want to show hints from Ancestry, if you want to exclude the Ancestry tree hints, you want to show hints from Family Search. Let's see, names, places. This might be one that you want to do some playing around with. More and more people, it seems, or at least I see out there, are going to more the European format, which would be day, month, year, which gets can be a little confusing. Now, right here's where you change that. Or if you just want to use, a number or abbreviation for the month. Some options here on the names. Your cutoff here, I don't think you mess with that. I think these are fairly standard. Warnings. I always want to be prompted if Family Tree Maker thinks I'm being stupid, I want them to tell me that. Whether or not you want me to prompt to copy files in. I think most of this is pretty much the standard, and I think most of this would be left, but be aware. And references, I'm going to talk about this one for a minute. This is one that is very, very powerful in my opinion, and also was the only place Family Tree Maker has ever burned me. And it burned me because they were using it. They came out with a version that stopped using it, and then after a whole bunch of uproar, the next version they started using it again. Well, because I already had my reference number set, starting to use it again would have really screwed me up. So I do it manually now. But if you're not using this, if you use individual reference numbers, what I did was put a P for person, and then you can pick a number to start with. And what that does is it automatically assigns a number to every person you put in your tree. The advantage for that for me was when I go to file paper documents, because not everything is electronic document, I want to know who it is because, well, sometimes names change, especially with the ladies. Ladies' names can change several times. So if you put it up, try and file stuff under a person's name, it can get all screwed up. But that number never ever changes. So for example, if that person is assigned P101, that P101 will never change regardless of any name changes or anything that they have. And there will be people out there who will say, oh, from the 1980s who say, oh, well, you put it under, you got your 4 binders that you put everything under. Well, here's a real live example. I've got a gal. Her mother is my second cousin on my dad's side. Her father is my second cousin on my mother's side. And then they divorced. She got remarried, and the person she remarried happens to be my wife's brother. So I was a second cousin once removed on one side, a second cousin once removed on another side, and her uncle all at the same time. That would have 3 different family lines. So how do you file that person? Almost sounds like an Appalachian family. Another powerful one, the other one over here, use relationship reference numbers. What that does is it does the same thing for every marriage. So every marriage, every unique marriage gets a number assigned to it. And I put a prefix of M for marriage, started with a number of 1. So any marriage that you look at will have a unique marriage reference to it. So for example, wedding pictures, wedding documents, stuff like that, I file in a manila envelope and I file it under that M number. And whenever I want to look at it, I can go look at that marriage. I can see their marriage reference number. I go right to that manila folder and pull it up. I don't have to worry about name changes, divorces, none of that sort of stuff. So this is a very powerful one if you're not using it already. So let's see. Moving on, we're going to go to manage facts. Let's see. Manage facts. And this is where all your facts are and how you manage them. So Family Tree Maker comes with a bunch of facts that are there. So example, burial is the default one, and you can look at the properties if you want to, and you can change it if you want. You can change it to just a date and place, or you can add a third field, date, place, description, or it can be just a description only, and you make it private. So if you share your tree up on Ancestry, for example, nobody else is going to see it. Then this fast sentence. And what this fast sentence is for, and it would be for publishing your family stories out of Family Tree Maker, which I would urge you never, ever, ever, ever do. I can go off on a 20-minute rant about why you should never, ever use that. But this will be the statement. So they'll put the person's name, was buried on, it'll pull in the date, it'll pull in the place, and then a description if you got a description. So what the sentence will look like in your published family story will be John Doe was buried on 9 January 20, here. And if in your family story, when you print that, if you've got 400 people that have died, it's going to print this statement 400 times. You know, put in the right person, date, and place, but that's what it's going to print for that fact. Let's see. Oh, I didn't want that. Go away. Now, I get caught up here on my documentation. There's also shared data facts. For example, divorce is something that is shared between 2 people, and when that divorce was filed, the marriage information is shared between 2 people. So that same fact will show up on both the husband and the wife. Other than that, there's no difference between the individual facts and the shared ones. Now, where you can customize it and where this gets extremely powerful, and you'll see me referring back to this many times through this presentation, is you can add your own facts to this. Ones that I've added, for example, I put one in for each census so I can quickly look and see, do I have that census? Let's see, I put one in for, let's see, death certificate. do I have a death certificate for them or not? Another one I put in is for a headstone photo. I like to have headstone photos of people, and I want to know if I've got a headstone uh, for that person or not. Probate is another one that I added, so you can keep track of whether you have probates or not. So the easy way to do that is you can go to New and put in your whatever you want to call it, and you can determine, is that going to be a fact that is specifically associated with an individual, or is this going to be shared between two people? And is it a date, place, time? And for a lot of mine, I put on description only, because the only thing I'm putting in there sometimes is a date. Like if it's a census, I'll put in 1790, 1860, whatever. Or if it's something like a headstone photo, death certificate, something like that, I just put in a yes, no, just so I can keep track of what I have and don't have. And I'll try and come back to that in the future. So I need to click OK. And now I have my own data field that I can do things with. So we'll go to customizing the view of this. And some of the things that you can do, and to me the most powerful one is right down here in this bottom right hand corner where it says customize view. You can go in and all those facts, you can pick and choose which ones you want and where you want them. So these are the ones that I've put over here, and some are there by default. But I like to keep track of whether I got an obituary on a person, or they got a death certificate on a person, their headstone, that document ID that I was referring to earlier. I've got to keep that manually because they dropped it and re-added it. So I keep track of that manually. So P2374 is Johannes Henry Jan. So anything I want to file under Johannes Henry Jan, I can file under this number. So I can pick and choose. So I just added that my own data field. So let's go down here. Oh, here's my own data field. And I can add that in here. And maybe I want to move it up because I want it up under burial here. And I can click OK. And now my own data field is showing up here, and I can put a value in there. And like I said, I created this as just a description only. So only that field comes up. If I had created that, and I'll go back here, oops, and change that and just show you how that changes. Manage facts, I come back here. Here's my own data field. Properties, I can change that to a date, place, description. And now under my data field, I've got a date, place, description field. So depending upon how you have your data fields set up will determine what shows up here. But to me, this is just so much quicker and easier when I'm entering information in on somebody. I can just come right down this field, and a lot of this stuff I can put in right here. I don't have to flip back over here to this person and add the facts in manually one at a time. I can kind of see the whole picture right here of what I want to do. Let's see. Another one you can do, or you should be aware of, is this one right here, sort children by birth order, because I think by default, I don't think it does. It might, but I don't think it does. So you can change it, and then it will put them all in the right order based upon the birth date. Color coding up here is a one that has come on last version or two. And you can change the color for a person depending on what you want to be doing. For the current person, you can choose whatever color. All ancestors of that person, all ancestors, 4 colors, I'm not sure, all descendants. So you can change your colors, and I haven't done a lot with this, but what I have done is I went back for my wife's family because I've been researching them, and I click on the all ancestors and I put a color code on, so I'm going through, I can see if they're a direct descendant or not. So then the other one is views over here. Now by default, this is the view that I like. And if you want, for some reason, you can reduce the amount of people you see or increase it. This is the most that you can see. Or you can change it. Let's see, there we go. Into more, this view, which is kind of like the ancestry.com view. And if you happen to get off someplace and you want to recenter, you can come back here and center on that person that you have. And if you want to, for some reason, you can change your background colors. And let's see, I think that's all of them on that one. So I think we're going to unmute for a minute, ladies, if you want to unmute everybody.
Okay, everybody now has the ability to unmute themselves if they want to ask a question.
Any questions or comments?
You just have to click on your audio or the mute button.
First of all, this is Phil. I've been doing some damage control. We do have 30 participants at the moment, 32, but unfortunately the initial link was incorrect. Then I sent out the wrong passcode because I had cataract surgery this week and I can't see. But we've got it correct now, posted through email and also on Facebook. We'll work on this issue before we try this again. Thank you, David, for your presentation so far.
No problem. Any questions or comments?
We did have a comment from Carla, and she's saying that she keeps the DNA matches on this information here. She's created a file for that. Great.
Yeah, that'd be a great use.
I was just going to add to that, and I learned how to use that. When it's used, particularly useful is that I manage a number of DNA connections, so I can see if I've went to get their centimorgans yet, and I can easily compare, say, three people I manage to a certain match. So that it's been super helpful for that. There's just not enough space. I need a longer bar.
So are you keeping track of them with a custom fact and or color coding?
I do color coding, although I tend to not keep my color coding the same all the time. I find myself changing it all the time. But I will take a picture of someone I have a match with, just so you can see, and I'll pop it in the comment section so someone could see what my panel looks like.
So Dave, Vicky is saying it's if it's not too time consuming, can you show how to add a field? She was coming in late. And this is from Vicky.
Add a field onto the people view. What you do is you come down here to, I'm still sharing, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, come down to the bottom right-hand corner where it's custom view.
Mm-hmm.
And that will pop this up, and you can pick and choose what facts you want to add into that right column. And you can add them in over here, and then this arrow will determine where in this right column that field appears. And you can also do the same thing for the marriage. And then it'll show up here. Of course, the only downside is, managing how many you have in here. So, you got to scroll up and down, but you can, add whatever is important in over here on the right side for you. To me, this is one of the most powerful customizations in Family Tree Maker, or time-saving ones.
I had no idea on that one.
This is Judy Hawley. One of the fast fields that I added was baptism. which is especially helpful for older records where you might not ever find a birth record. I'm looking at old Irish records, and it's just much quicker to put in a baptism that way.
Yeah, otherwise you got to come over here each time and click add fact and go baptism and so forth. And you're kind of losing view of the whole thing where you can just come over here and just pop it in.
Yep.
So this is just so much easier.
One of the things that I did was I added a field for find a grave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And put in just in the description, put in the ID number from find a grave. And there are so many times when I want to go back to find a grave and the record there, and it's that number that I just copy and paste into the search, and I'm there immediately. I don't have to try.
I don't have to go back into a source document and look for a media link or anything like that. It's just right there.
Well, it's right on that page, and they're all unique numbers.
The other thing that's helpful for is when you go to find a grave, and for example, there is the man's, it's the man's record, but his wife isn't shown on his record. So all you have to do is go to the wife on your family tree maker, copy that ID number, and put it in as an edit in Find a Grave, and put the couples together and their siblings or their parents or their children, and flesh out the Find a Grave site.
Lots of interesting uses for customizing facts and putting them in that view. It's just, once I discovered that, it was like a whole new world, like,
David, I quickly put a picture of how mine looks when I shared those DNA, just so people could see the comparative piece. You might have to open the thing, so I don't know if you would be able to quickly go into chat and open that picture, then everybody else doesn't have to load it.
let me
Easy if
stop
not, they can do it on their own.
sharing and.
It would just be, it's called screenshot. If you just open it, I think they would be able to see it as you're sharing.
Screenshot. Where is screenshot?
It's in the chat, and within the chat it'll be called screenshot. Otherwise, people can look at it on their own. They don't take a lot of time to find it.
Screenshot. Okay, here it is.
Yep. And then if you share your screen back, you'll be able to see that.
I just did that, and it wanted to download into my
It will
program
ask you
area
for
where
that.
I don't have.
Yeah, it will ask you for that, just because
Right.
I had to put it up as a picture.
Okay, just give me a second here.
And it's okay to move on if it doesn't go easily. I don't want to take all the time just for
We're
that.
coming. We're coming.
All right.
It's opening up. I'm going to go back to sharing again so I can share that.
So that
Yeah.
particular example is my father-in-law, which of course is one I work on a lot. So you can see those are the matches he has with all of those people. Some of those people I also have access to their results, so then I like cross-reference them. So the DNA number is their actual, like their link number from Ancestry. And then each of those people on the left is people he matches to. So it's just a quick reference instead of having to go back to my match list all the time to find out how many centimorgans they match with.
DNA scares me. You just scared me.
How do you get all of the stuff to fit in that right-hand column? I mean, you can add a lot of stuff.
She's got to
Do that.
scroll. She's going to have to
Yeah.
scroll up and down.
Right,
Okay.
you don't. It's I could use so many more. It
No,
would be
you're-
helpful, but I work on DNA so much, so that is my predominant what I put there. But
Okay.
certainly you can, yeah, you can add more. And
Do those facts then end up over on the person tab?
Yes.
They do.
yes,
Yep. So whatever is shown for a person here, or whatever is shown for a person here, is going to show back here in this tab as well. Okay, shall we move on? Okay. Excuse me, gonna move on to facts. Lays, if you want to mute everybody again, we'll unmute when we get done here. And tasks are back here underneath the person tab down here. And if you're not familiar with tasks, you just click on new and you can put on whatever you want. And the powerful thing here to me is when you go to, you can click on edit and you can pick different categories of tasks. And you can, the real powerful one is you can add your own category. So if I was going to check on that, and that was something I needed to check on in Jackson County, I can click on that. Oops. And then I can come down here and I can click on Jackson County. And now this task is associated with Frederick Yan and also with Jackson County. And it shows up down here. Let's see. And then when you're done with that task, you can say I've completed this, and it'll still show up. It'll show up as a completed one, or you can come over here to X and you can delete that one and delete, or you can delete all completed tasks. So I'll delete all my completed tasks and it goes away. Then you come back over here to plan, main tab, and here all of your tasks show up. Oh, I forgot to mention on that task, you can set what priority is, whether it's a high priority or medium priority. And you can sort these tasks however you want to, whatever location or whatever category you want to. And now the thing I really use this for a lot is when I have things to go research and I'm going to go to a facility, I don't have to remember what was I going to do here, or who was I going to look up, what was I going to look for. And I do a lot of this for like the Minnesota Historical Society. So I can come down here if I want to, and I can filter tasks. Well, I'll filter them by category, and I just want to look at the ones for the Minnesota History Center when I go up to the library. And here's my tasks. And then I can say, I want to print this task list. And it pops a little report, and I can print this off, and I can take this to the Minnesota Historical Society, and now I know exactly what I need to look up and for whom I'm looking it up for. To me, that really works very slick. So as that's kind of a report, that's going to take me right to talking about reports, which is under the publish option. And excuse me, one of the most powerful ones to me is this, where is it? Custom report. I do so many things with this custom report. And this, I don't remember what this came up for last time. It's a custom report for that person. I think that's what it defaults to. But you can go in and determine who you want in this report. So what I can do is, I get some steps I need to walk through here, so I need to make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, so I'm going to filter in. You can filter in if you, excuse me, if you want to, I'm sorry. You can just pick all ancestors of that person, you can pick descendants of that person, you can pick everybody and to be in the report, but I want to be a little picky. one of the things I do is, I mentioned earlier, I like to have headstone photos of everybody. So periodically I will go to a cemetery and I want to know, who do I need headstone photos for? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to filter in, and I'm going to, oops, I want alternate facts, so I get, oh, I don't want alternate facts, I want all facts. There we go, I'm sorry. So this pulls in all my facts and I can choose whichever ones I want. So I'm going to pick burial, and you can choose whether it's going to equal, let's better pick on first. I'm looking at the place, and I want contains, and I'm going to look at Lakeside, oops, spell it right, Lakeside Cemetery. And I want all values that for people who are buried in Lakeside Cemetery. Got to crunch through a few people here. Okay, there's 378 people in my database that are buried in Lakeside Cemetery. However, there could be more than one Lakeside Cemetery, and I'm looking for the one that's in Fairmont. So I'm going to exclude, come on here. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to filter out all facts. I'm going to go back to this burial again, and the place that doesn't contain Fairmont, because I want the Lakeside Cemetery that's in Fairmont, not the one that's in Glencoe, not the one that's out here in South Dakota, wherever there's other Lakeside cemeteries that got people buried. So I got 377 people left. Now the other thing I want to do is, I'm not going out looking for 377 people when I've already got headstone photos for a lot of them. So I'm going to go back to filter out, and I'm going to go down to my own personal fact that I added in, headstone photo, and I'm going to filter out every headstone, every person that I've got a headstone photo for. So that takes me down to 25 people. So I got 25 people that I need to go find the headstone for. So I'm going to apply this. Now, I'm going to change the name of this while I'm here. Needed Lakeside Cemetery photos. Okay, I'm going to generate that report. There we go. And I can come up here to items to include. Well, what do I want? Well, I want the person's name, and you can go down here to name options if you want, and how you want it listed. And I'm going to put it as last name first, just because I want to. And let's see, what else? I'm not interested in their marriage on this report. I do want to know the birth date and the death date. And you got options here as well on what you want to include. I don't really care where he was buried at, the description, but I do want the date. And the same thing on this one. And let's see, I can add other things. And one of the things I want to add, just because I want to, if I can find it, spouse's name. So a lot of the people are buried with their spouses. So I can choose that. I'm going to change this back to last first. And now I've got a nice report of who I'm looking for. I'm looking for Anderson or Leonard Charles Anderson Brockman. I can go down the list. Apparently I can put a space in there someplace. I'm not going to worry about going back and cleaning that up at the moment. And you can change your fonts if you want. I usually leave that alone. Change the header footer if I want. The page setup, which is a size of paper and whether I want it portrait or landscape. Sometimes that will make a difference. And I can save these settings, but I'm not going to save these settings for this report because they're always changing. But for reports that, you know, I go in and don't ever really want to make the changes to how they're formatted, I'll go in and do that. And the last thing I can do is I can save that report. So I don't have to recreate this again. And for example, if I have a different cemetery I'm going to, all I need to do is pull this report up, change the couple of filters, and save it as that report. So I'm going to save this one as needed lakeside photos. So then when you go back to your collection and come down here under saved reports, it should be under needed lakeside cemetery photos. There we go. We can pull her back up and print her at any time. One other report that I want to make you aware of, just in case you aren't using it, is this relationship chart. How many times do you get an email or from somebody saying, well, how are we related? This is where you go. So you can choose who, and I can choose, for example, I'll choose Elroy. How are those two people related? It'll come back and show me exactly how those people are related, and he's the uncle of the first great-granduncle of the sister-in-law of Elroy. There we go. But a lot of times that's really handy to see how are two people related to each other. Let's see. The last one I want to talk about that you may or may not be aware of is under Other, this calendar. Relatives really like this calendar. So for example, let's see. I'm going to select people to include. I'm going to go back to my wife's grandfather. That'd be him, so I'm going to include him, and I want to include all of his descendants. So here are his descendants, and it seems like I should have gotten more, but anyway. So what this will do is it's going to show, I'm going to change this here just so I get a few more people. I'm going to click on ancestors just so we get some people. So you can pick on, I'm getting lost here. Let's see, calendar options. So you can choose what color you want for birthdays, for marriages, and for deaths, and what names you want to be using, where you want your calendar to start. Yeah, looks like most of these people are not. Colors aren't showing up because the people I've chosen are pretty much all passed away, but you kind of catch the idea on this, and then you can print your calendar off and give it to your friends. I'm going to just choose, let's see, I'm going to exclude all. I'm going to filter. I'm gonna find my, let's see. Right format. There, I'll get some other colors. So this is my grandson's birthday, our wedding anniversary coming up. My daughter's wedding anniversary coming up, son-in-law's birthday. So, you know, you can filter in here as many people as you want. And this happens to be the day that my mother passed away on. So you can include, exclude, you know, anything that you want out of this. But this ends up being a nice gift for family. So with that, Janelle and Nancy, if you'd unmute people, we'll take any more questions or comments anybody has. And I will stop sharing for this moment.
Can you hear me, Dave?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, in case for the people that do want to speak, if they can just unmute themselves, I believe.
Yeah, I just did mine.
Let me know if anybody's having trouble unmuting themselves. That way we don't have to unmute everyone and we can keep the background noise to a minimum.
I unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I may have to leave quickly, and I just want to say how very helpful this is. I love it and would welcome future similar types of
Well, we got some
events.
ideas on that, and Phil will talk about that when we're done here.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
I like seeing how you filtered down to get a report for Find a Grave photos. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that for a lot of things. It's just, you know, you got, if you're curious about, okay, I need a list of something, or, you know, or somebody to do something, that you can go in there and go to that custom report and filter in and filter out based upon basically any piece of data that's in Family Tree Maker to get you the end result of what you want and then print it off. It's really great.
When you
Yeah,
have
thank
when you have a photograph and it allows you to put in a category for that photograph, like I have, if I have a picture of a wedding picture and I want to just look at all the people that have wedding dresses, then I have a category called bridal dresses. Do you have to put that category in your things in order to get the list of what you want, or will it just look through your facts and your photos, or is it only facts that it'll do that?
I think it's only facts, and I'm saying I think because I haven't done much. Oh, fine missing. Oh, that's good. I haven't done much with using the categories on the pictures, so I'm not sure.
You can add categories to the media, and I would just add wedding pictures as a category, and that should be easy somehow to pull them all up.
Well,
right. If you're
Family Tree Maker didn't like doing what I was doing, it crashed. I'll have to get it started here again.
Yeah, you can put that category on anything that ends up in your media file, but I was just wondering if you were doing the facts ones, if they did not have to be then in categories, they just look for the fact.
Sandy, am I hearing your question correctly? You want to know if you could like filter by that category then when it's attached to a media rather than to a fact?
Yes, I know you can do that because I've done that when I wanted to pull up like all high school graduation pictures, because I have a category for that. And most of my photos, I put them in a category in case I wanted to look up pictures all of one kind for something.
Okay.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I know what the deal is with the pictures. I've got a kind of a play database I use here, and I don't have the media folder associated with it, so it's probably not going to find any pictures. But let me go back to publish again, and custom report. Yeah, I think it's just going to be the data facts here. I don't think there's going to be any. Yeah, it's based on facts.
David, go to the other, like instead of vital facts or all facts, go to other and pull
Oh,
down that
okay.
search anywhere. See if that would work. I don't have a lot of notes on my media either to know if it'll work, but I'm
It's
wondering
got
if you could
media,
go,
media information, media notes.
wonder if the, like the information one.
I don't
Like you, I
know
don't have
because
that.
I don't use that functionality in Family Tree Maker. So even if I pick on this, it's not going to find anything out there, I don't think.
Right.
But it might be something to do some playing around with, and we can talk about it maybe at the next meeting and see what somebody has found out.
You can use that same filtering system that David just did for the index if you want to set up a special index. You can filter in and filter out, and it's the same process. I have a special index set up for military people on the main page. So it's a really helpful hint that he gave.
Well, Phil, you want to take over?
I have another
Oh,
question
go ahead.
on
Go ahead.
something that you covered earlier. When you gave each person a number,
Yep.
so that you could just do them in a folder or whatever, if I have not numbered them at all, would it number them automatically, or how would you
Yes.
get started
Yes.
numbering?
Yes. If you go to references here and click this, and I would put in I use P for person so I can keep track of what it is. And I start with 1. When you click OK, it's going to go through and number all of your existing people. I don't know the rhyme or the reason. I haven't figured that out yet. And then whenever you add another person, it will automatically assign that next number in line to that person.
Okay, so you have no control as to where it starts.
That is correct. And I haven't figured out the logic yet. I think my father-in-law was P1 and I was like P101 or P100, something like that, and it just got random beyond that. So
Okay.
I would like to make a suggestion for anyone that has never gone to the Family Tree Maker users group on Facebook. They have an absolutely marvelous help group, and they have a unit section that goes through just any possible scenario you could think of. It's so much better than the companion guide that comes with Family Tree Maker.
Phil, all yours.
Am I unmuted? I guess so.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, David. And I think as much as we have gained from your suggestions, it's going to be nice to be able to go back to the recording and review what you have done for some of us who got in late and some of us who tried to help those latecomers get in. I appreciate that. So I would like some quick feedback, not necessarily by voice, but if you want to do so, fine, as to what we might do with another Zoom meeting and how soon we might do it. I do not anticipate we'll be meeting in person in the center in any large number for several months. And secondly, we have had 36 participants and we've never had that many people attend a meeting. So there is some benefit to the Zoom. Plus, we don't record our meeting. So if the host has allowed you to unmute and you'd like to give me some feedback, please feel free to do so. We can also do it through email and through the Facebook page.
I have a question or suggestion.
Thank you.
This is Karen, and I don't know if there's anybody else on the call who's a little intimidated like I am, and I don't know if this is maybe a time waster for the rest of the group, but if there could be more of a tips and tricks with search on Family Tree Maker. I'm more comfortable with search on Ancestry.com. I'm a little more intimidated with doing search on Family Tree Maker, mostly because I come up with nothing new, and I'm wondering what I'm missing if I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, just a quick clarification. Are you talking about using the search function into FamilySearch.org and Ancestry?
Yes.
Via the Family Tree Maker window?
Yep.
Okay. And you're finding you get a better response when you go directly to Ancestry than if you use the portal through Family Tree Maker?
Yes, and I kind of feel like I've maxed out both, and I'm kind of wondering if I'm not doing something right on Family Tree Maker, that there's something more I could be finding if I was just more confident or knowledgeable about.
All right, well, thank you. I think that's an excellent topic, and it's certainly worthwhile trying to show it. And sometimes it's best if we see the manifestation than just to give you an explanation on paper. We've had a couple of comments in the chat about media.
Yeah, I've noticed quite a few about, and one that I had written down was Family Tree Maker maintenance, cleaning up places, merging people, backing up, compacting, media, syncing, exporting people, sourcing.
Right.
And one of the things that I would add to that is when you have a syncing problem and you're being told that Family Tree Maker has an error that can't be fixed and you need to go back and reinstall something, the easiest and most efficient path and method for doing that. And for some information on the antenna tree and restoring.
All right. I'm going to write that down as how to fix unfixable problems.
Right.
Russ, I will just add, and I'm not sure if it's, are you doing Ancestry Sync? Is that when your errors are happening?
It isn't, it's somebody that I'm working with, but suddenly when she tried to sync Family Tree Maker to Ancestry, it looks like it's going through the process, and at the very tail end, it gives you an error message that it can't be synced, and that there's an error in Family Tree Maker that can't be fixed. And part of the question is, if we go back to a previous backup and restore from there, and that backup is dated before your last successful sync, when you eventually sync that restored backup, with Ancestry, does it pull all the things from Ancestry into the sync part of Family Tree Maker so you're back again up to date?
I'll give a simple answer, and it's not meant to be global at all. I will simply say that I've been having, I would say on average, 1 or 2 errors a month with FTM, and I'm getting the database error. And what happens is it completely shuts me down for syncing, as in I can't go back and forth. What I have found is that often they want you to like re-upload something or reconnect to Ancestry. And I don't want to do that because it messes up everything that we just talked about fixing in FTM.
That's right.
And
That's
I
right.
hate it. But I have found it's a known problem with FTM, and I've been told there's a fix coming. I do know that when I've been adamant about putting sending my sync report right away and getting on live chat, they are able to look at the report and usually tell me what individual is causing the error. This is specifically when it says database error. And then what I usually have to do is delete that person, put them back in, and my sync will work again. So that's very specific in the error, but if that's what your person is seeing, I would certainly keep that in mind.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Russ, I don't want to get into a lot of specific troubleshooting in this session, but I'm familiar with the person I think who is having that issue, and the issue was resolving around a missing media item in Family Tree Maker. Family Tree Maker couldn't find the media for that person, and it was crapping out on that. So.
Okay, thanks. We'll check that too.
All right, well, this Zoom was not intended to, and to try to be a fix all problems session. Certainly, we have enough expertise in this group to take on all problems, at least lead down certain paths. And I guess that would be a potential Zoom meeting in the future. And I would suggest that either through email or using the Facebook, we pose that. It seems to me we've got an issue, I mean, in general with media, because some of us have some media, some of us don't use the media aspect as much. And so that's a potential topic as well. I apologize to people who had trouble getting on, particularly after I posted the incorrect meeting ID number. And after I put the right one back on by putting those meeting ID and passcodes in, I think you got on. But David, we're going to have to explore what the issue was with the initial link. Some people had no problems, and I was unable to get in using the link, and I tried 2 or 3 of them. I would propose that anybody who would like to lead a session, offer your expertise. Carla, would you be interested in presenting on DNA? That's one area we really have not explored much in this group. I know there's a DNA group, but
I'm certainly not opposed to it. This is actually my first time in this group, but I'm very excited about connecting with people. The only thing I would fear in the DNA is it's so big. We might want to see what people are most interested in knowing, because it might be too big to do. Maybe that's the idea, is you started a general session. I'm not sure. I'd like some ideas on what people would be interested in knowing.
okay.
This is Pat, and I know nothing about DNA, and I would love an intro session on DNA, what the very basics and how to go. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons I haven't done it, is because it is so it's so complex, and exactly. I'm just not ready to tackle that. So I think a beginning session on that would be great, something I'd definitely be very interested in. Thanks.
Carla, you did talk about using people's expertise and you talked about a breakout room feature with which I'm not familiar. Do you want to explain just briefly? I'm intrigued by the possibility of having a open Zoom meeting and then allowing people to go into breakout rooms.
So I should probably introduce myself since I know no one here and I just kind of landed here by good grace. So my background is in teaching. I teach in District 196, and so we've obviously in education been forced to do a lot with Zoom. I don't know if it's a feature for all Zoom. I happen to have like kind of the upgrade simply because of the education background. And one of the things we can do is we can host a large session but have smaller rooms where people might be working on different things. I don't know what this particular Zoom is set up for, but it would be the idea that you could come in, if there's 3 people who want to go work on DNA, you can actually put them into a room and they can work there, still be in the larger session. So that's the background. I just don't know who's hosting this and what their Zoom is set up for. Sometimes there's limitations on time and size, etc. So that would have to be established.
This Zoom would do it. However, asterisk, this is kind of a joint session between the Minnesota Genealogical Society's Family Tree Maker Group and the 3M Genealogy Club, which I belong to both. We're using 3M Genealogy Club's Zoom, so I don't know if we'll continue to use that going forward or not, but I just thought this might be a benefit to both, that maybe the Family Tree Maker Users Group can pull some 3M Genealogy Club people into membership, and it's a benefit for us because we can use their Zoom. So just get that first one off and going.
And I would be under the same situation where I could probably jump onto my education account, I think, but I would certainly want to check that also, as far as kind of what you're saying is we're hosting off of 2 outside of the group things. But yeah, if we can make use of it.
Now that all said, we can use the Minnesota Geological Society's. Okay. They got a Go meeting.
Go-to meeting.
Go-to meeting, but they didn't get back to us or to me on using it. I looked at it. It looks very similar to Zoom. Yep. But I'd presented on Zoom before, and under the time constraints and stuff, it just like, hey, 3M, let's Genealogy Club, can we work a deal? So
love it.
So going forward, we should talk to the MGS group about using Go Meeting, or Go-To Meeting.
I just did a quick Google search about breakout rooms on Go-To Meeting, and apparently it is a feature. So David, I will follow up on that with Charlene at this point, or whoever might have more expertise with their Go-To Meeting, and we'll see if we can use that. They have a license for Go-To Meeting. They do not have the type of license, Carla, I think that you share in your educational work.
So we should probably, if you talk to the MGS group, see if an experienced host can kind of help us through the first meeting or session that we use with Go-To Meeting.
Right.
Is your 3M group an open group? I'm not familiar with that.
It's for 3M employees.
Oh, okay.
So our group meets once a month, presentations outside end users, and we usually have about 24 people attend. So
okay, now I didn't work for 3M.
Well, I supposedly I went there. I didn't work, according to what some people say. But.
How many rolls of painter's tape, blue painter's tape, do I have to buy to get into the group? I think we have some excellent ideas here. I would like to continue the chatter on the through the Facebook and email options. Again, my apologize to people. We'll take a good look at this. We will also look at Go-To Meeting, which had been offered and continues to be offered. I think most of you who are members of the Minnesota Genealogical Society are aware that things are loosening up again a bit, and they're allowing people back in, I believe, on 2 sessions, if I'm not mistaken, Thursday and Saturday. And apparently they would like to have some well-qualified volunteers. And we've had some feedback from others, and I'll review it on the chat, about the nice aspect of being together on Zoom and having this many people, and I agree. I think that's been a great benefit. Sorry we didn't do it earlier, but we were waiting for the pandemic to go away. I will post the email address right now. Somebody asked about that.
Yes, and if you don't, if Phil doesn't have your email address yet, please email it to him so we can do these invites via email. I think it'd be a lot safer and better.
Just a quick comment, and that is, when the pandemic is over, I would lobby that, in fact, this is maybe a process that is more helpful than going into a big room, driving across town, and not seeing an immediate screen in front of you because we all can't carry our things with us. I think this is a much more effective way.
I tend to agree with you, Russ, and I saw a lot of heads nodding, and all the people who don't have their video on, I guess you nodded your heads too. All right, I believe we'll call this meeting to an end. Again, thank you very much. We will post the recording of this when we can figure that out.